Yesterday, in the middle of the day, interestingly enough, right before California and many other states vote, the Associated Press decided to call the race and say that Hillary Clinton is the presumptive nominee for the Democratic Party. They celebrated it. They said it was historic. I'll get into all the details in a second. And told us the race is over. So all you folks out in California, New Jersey, Montana, Dakotas, etc., you're not disenfranchised. Your votes are irrelevant. So California is the largest state in the union, but don't bother voting. No. Hey, fall in line already, okay? Be good, little boys and girls. Your little run against the establishment was cute, and we're done with it, okay? Now, that's weird. Was there an election yesterday? No, the elections are today. Those are the big ones that I just listed. Now, there were some elections over the weekend, Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. I covered that yesterday on the show for you guys, and Hillary Clinton had nice-sized victories there. So why didn't they call the election on Sunday? Or maybe they were just counting votes. No, the votes had already been in when we did the show yesterday. No, it was not because of Puerto Rico. The Associated Press called the election because they counted some new superdelegates in favor of Hillary Clinton. Now, did they list us the names of the superdelegates that put her over the threshold? No. Wow. Get a load of how fitting this is. The mainstream press has called the election for Hillary Clinton based on anonymous superdelegates who say that she has won. All you people that are trying to vote today, no, clean up, go home. The establishment, in this case, literally decided the election for you. You're done with it. So some of those superdelegates are current Democratic politicians, some are former Democratic politicians, some of them are corporate lobbyists. So who the hell decided the election? Hey, Associated Press, this is not an inside source kind of situation. Can you give us a list of all of the superdelegates you're counting? Don't give me anonymous superdelegates. Now, they haven't voted. Now, you know that and you acknowledge that. You go, I'm going to count them anyway. Who needs journalism? They'll probably vote for Hillary Clinton, and for Associated Press, and then later NBC, and now all of the press, probably is good enough, right? Well, if it's probably, can I get a list of the names? Especially the ones that put her over the threshold? I mean, aren't you guys proud, all you Democratic politicians who voted for Hillary Clinton? I'm sure you don't mind your names coming out, do you? Oh, no, we're not going to get to hear that. So what a stunningly bad political move for Hillary Clinton's campaign. If you think they're not involved, you're a little naive about how the political process works. I'll get to them at the end. But let's stay with the Associated Press for now. Let me give you the full context of this. First of all, how many delegates do you need to win the Democratic nomination? 2,383. Okay, so how many does Hillary Clinton have right now? 1,812. Wait a minute, that's not 2,383. So how does that add up? But don't worry, she also has 571 superdelegates that will likely vote for her. Have they voted yet? No. By the way, do you know that, are you sure Associated Press and NBC that all 571 are going to show up at the convention? Do you know that if they're not at the convention, their vote doesn't count? Did they say, yes, I will vote for Hillary Clinton, and yes, I promise it's a guarantee that I will be at the convention? Did you check their plane tickets? Did you check their travel accommodations? No, probably. Good enough. I mean, what is it, like a quarter of the country's about to vote today? No. Go home, don't vote. Whatever you do, don't vote. I've got a probably over here, a probably. Okay. Now, they say in their story, while superdelegates will not formally cast their votes for Clinton until the party's July convention in Philadelphia, all those counted in her tally have unequivocally told the AP they will do so. Okay, here's what I say to that. Unequivocally, my ass. So, what if there's an indictment? Is that still unequivocal? Do they say if she is indicted on federal felony charges, I will unequivocally vote for her anyway because I don't really care about the Democratic Party. I don't care what happens or if we lose to Donald Trump. Did they make that pledge to you? Now, look, this is when the mainstream press goes, I don't want to hear it, I don't want to hear it, I don't want to hear it. There's no such thing as an indictment. What are your sources that there is no indictment? Now, I'm not telling you there's going to be an indictment. I'm telling you that unlike the Associated Press, we understand what journalism is. You don't know that there's not going to be an indictment. And then, again, there's such cheerleaders for Hillary Clinton. They can't help themselves. I'm going to give you examples from this particular story. But almost all the press is like, oh, no, there won't be one. There probably won't be one. Why are you talking about it? You seem to be rooting against her. No, it's not a matter of rooting against her or for her. You, especially Associated Press, are supposed to be objective. Not, hey, nobody in the Democratic Party wants an indictment, so the Associated Press will help them out by pretending that there is, what, no chance of an indictment? You can't possibly say that. There's a dozen FBI agents investigating her right now. If there was a dozen FBI agents investigating you, you know what your chance of indictment would be? Approximately 99%. Now, I understand that it's a different situation and she's got a lot of power, right? But you're telling me that is not within the realm of imagination, so you're calling the election. You see, it's different than 2008. In 2008, first of all of the voting had been done. In this case, California, New Jersey, all those states have not voted. They're voting today. You called it before those elections. Second of all, by the way, Hillary Clinton did not even concede then. She waited for all of the voting to be over and then another 4 days, and there was no extenuating circumstances. There was not an indictment hanging over Barack Obama's head. There was nothing that could have prevented Obama from winning. I mean, I suppose wild things could have happened. This is not wild. This is an actual federal investigation of one of the nominees. If Trump had a federal investigation of him with 12 FBI agents on him, do you think they'd be like, oh, no, it's never going to happen for Trump. No, there'll be no indictment of Trump. Don't you dare say that in the press. No, of course you would take that as a legitimate issue. So I'm asking you to ask yourself, the so-called reporters working at the Associated Press and all the mainstream press, why don't you have the same standard? Perhaps when you look at Donald Trump, you go, that's a guy who should be investigated. And I can't stand Donald Trump. I'm asking you to be unbiased like I'm being unbiased. If there was 12 agents after Bernie Sanders, you'd have crucified him. You know it. You already crucified him. There's headline after headline. Vox has a very good piece today on it, including headlines from Vox and all of the mainstream press. Bernie Sanders, back in April 2015, May of 2015, June of 2015, Bernie Sanders has no chance. Hillary Clinton is largely running unopposed. You all decided from day one that Bernie Sanders had no chance, and then he shocked you by closing a 50-point lead. You still didn't give him any credit. You found every reason to discount every election that's near Vermont. That state is too white. That state is too weird. That state has a caucus. That state is this. That state is that. And then you turn around and you count the superdelegates from day one to make it look like she has a 90-10 lead. And then at the end, right before California is going to vote, no, everybody wrap it up. Hillary Clinton is the anointed one, just like we told you all along. Bow your head. This is what we mean by the establishment press. Look, the amazing thing, look, she has a pledged delegate lead. She likely would have won anyway, but you couldn't help yourself. You couldn't help yourself. It's got to be the establishment. It's got to be. I'm not going to take any chances and have California embarrass us by voting in the wrong direction. Okay. So let me continue with Associated Press's horrible so-called journalism. They say superdelegates can change their minds. Since the start of the AP's survey in the late 2015, no superdelegates have switched from supporting Clinton to backing Sanders. So they acknowledge, oh yeah, they haven't voted yet, but ignore that. They can change their minds. They didn't say it here, but they did change their minds in the last close race in 2008. A lot of them changed their minds. In this case, they say, but none of them have switched yet. Now, that's a fair point to make. None of them have switched yet. And in the Obama-Clinton race, they were switching in the middle. But what you completely leave out of the equation is there's a giant thing hanging out there that would make a fairly important difference in changing their mind. If that didn't exist, if there's no looming possible indictment, And you let California, New Jersey, everybody else vote. And at the end of that, she's got more pledged delegates. It would have been over anyway. But no, not good enough, not good enough. I got to make sure I bury these people, right? So I'm not even going to talk about indictments. No. Nobody switched their minds yet? Is there any possibility they could? No. It's not like we're journalists. God, it would take a lot of unearthing to figure out what in the world could make them change their minds. I don't know. A dozen FBI agents? No, ignore that. What am I, a journalist? I'm going to find the most obvious investigation of all time. Have you not heard of this email scandal that hasn't crossed your mind at all? How pathetic. Why did you choose to ignore that? So I'm asking the editors, and they will find my tone unbearable. They say, oh, he's a little loud. See, we prove our neutrality by whispering, but shouting from the rooftops about the superdelegates and how Hillary Clinton should win, but we say it so politely. So, okay, let me ask you politely, okay? Did none of your editors consider that there is a possible giant indictment of one of the candidates? Or did you consider it and think, well, it couldn't be because Hillary Clinton is the anointed one? So obviously, in Associated Press, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you've got sources at the FBI or at the State Department, at the Justice Department, who say, oh, yeah, we rigged it. Don't worry. The investigation is a sham. My God, write that article. If you got that source, aren't you journalists? Write the article. Oh, no, what? Oh, you don't have a source telling you that there's no investigation or that the investigation is a sham. You decided to ignore it because you wanted to declare Hillary Clinton the winner. Okay. They explain she leads Sanders by more than 3 million cast votes. That's actually misleading. By 291 pledged delegates, that's true. And by 523 superdelegates, she won 29 caucuses and primaries to his 21 victories. Now, most of that is largely true. The 3 million votes is a little misleading because it counts caucuses and primaries as apples to apples, but there's a lot less people who vote in caucuses. He won more of the caucuses. But overall, she's got more votes. She's got more pledged delegates. You didn't have enough patience to wait 2 more days. No. We have to care about, appearances and to make sure that Sanders is dispensed with already before the meddlesome people vote, okay? So now let's look at how they frame things to get a sense of their bias, that I'm positive that they're unaware of, right? So here's one part of the article. They say, many superdelegates expressed a desire to close ranks around a nominee who could defeat Trump in November. But wait a minute, if you want a nominee who could defeat Trump in November, Bernie Sanders polls better against Donald Trump in every single poll, and he has so for the last 6 months, and often by double digits, meaning doing better than Hillary Clinton by double digits in those polls. But the superdelegates tell you that, Hillary Clinton would be the nominee that we need to close ranks around because she's going to do better against Trump. Somebody hand me a pen. I'm a stenographer, not a journalist. I'm going to write that down like it's true. Where's all your articles about how Bernie Sanders is the more electable candidate based on numbers, based on facts, based on math? No, none of those articles. Only talking about delegate math. Okay, they say, when Clinton launched her campaign last April, she did so largely unopposed, having scared off more formidable challengers by locking down much of the party's organizational and fundraising infrastructure. Vice President Joe Biden, seen as her most threatening rival, opted not to run in October. They're still saying it. So now they acknowledge later, yeah, Bernie Sanders, good run, old chap. Very cute of you. Pat on the head. But they say, the bigger rivals like Joe Biden that could have actually given her trouble didn't enter. And all you had was Bernie Sanders. He's a liberal. Of course we're not going to support a liberal. We're not going to tell you that he's got any chance at all. We're going to say she was largely unopposed. Joe Biden had no chance of winning this election. Joe Biden is weak sauce Hillary Clinton. He's also part of the establishment. That's why Martin O'Malley got his ass handed to him. They're all establishment. And if you want establishment, you vote for Hillary Clinton. The only person who had a chance of winning, which, by the way, this program said all the way back in 2013, was a non-establishment candidate like Bernie Sanders. That's exactly what we said on the show, and we were right and they were wrong. He had a real chance, but they loaded the table against him all throughout. But the thing is, even if they didn't load the table, she might have won anyway. But no, 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 no. Don't take any chances. The opposition must be crushed. They don't even exist. Okay. Now, more to their framing of the issues. This is how they started the article. Listen to this language. Striding into history, Hillary Clinton will become the first woman to top the presidential ticket of a major U.S. political party, capturing commitments Monday from the number of delegates needed to win the Democratic nomination. I don't remember any articles about Bernie Sanders striding into history as the first Jewish presidential candidate who had a real shot at winning. I don't remember anything about Donald Trump being, again, I can't stand Donald Trump. That isn't the point. The point is to be fair to all the candidates. I don't remember him striding into history, but when it's Hillary Clinton, the one beloved by the establishment, she's striding into history as the first ever woman. Now, this is now the third mainstream outlet in 3 days to talk about historic. Everybody wrap it up. Bernie Sanders, why are you still in the race? Because this is historic. So I was on CNN. They asked me on CNN, hey, why aren't you celebrating Hillary Clinton being the first woman of a candidate of a major U.S. party? Okay, that's one question. Then the New York Times asked Bernie Sanders the next day, isn't it sexist of you to stay in the race since it is going to be a historic win for a woman? Okay, that's two mainstream outlets. Now, Associated Press says, historic, striding into history, first woman. But they're not asking Bernie Sanders to leave. The Associated Press did something a little worse. They told Bernie Sanders that he no longer has a chance. They ended the race for him. Now, that's what the press says. That's not reality. That's just what the press is trying to get you to believe so you don't vote. So, and why do I say it's not reality? Even they will concede. That's true. I mean, the superdelegates haven't voted. They vote on July 25th. That's still a month and a half away. A lot of things could happen in a month and a half. It hasn't actually happened. The press might have told you it happened. That didn't mean that it actually happened. See, there's a disconnect between facts and what is reported, because one of the pressures is, I got to be first. I got to be first. Really? Why? Why do you have to be first? In the old days, you had to be first because the other paper might not have made it to print on time, or one of the television stations might not have picked up on an assassination and you would have it and everybody would tune into your station. Today, the minute you print it, everyone else has it. There's no advantage to being first. You're just trying to be first because, oh, I got my inside sources from the establishment. The Clinton camp handed me these superdelegates, and now I counted them. I'm first. No, that means first is sucking up to the establishment who you call inside sources. Okay, now one more from the article to give you a sense of where they were. Clinton's rise to presumptive nominee, they explain, arrived nearly 8 years to the day after she conceded her first White House campaign to Barack Obama. This is yet another talking point from the Clinton camp I've now seen all over the press, including on the very article that called a race for her. Okay? So what they leave out there is a very important piece of context. Yes, the date is the same, but the primaries happened earlier in 2008. So at this date, all the primaries were over, all the voting was over, and Hillary Clinton had waited 4 extra days before conceding. So, and there was nothing hanging over Barack Obama's head. No extraordinary circumstances. So it makes it seem like, oh, Bernie Sanders, why aren't you out of the race? Hillary Clinton was a decent person, and she had already left the race by this date. Oh, I didn't give you the context that the dates were off on when they voted in that primary. I'm sorry, was I supposed to be a journalist? Because I just took Hillary Clinton's talking points and I regurgitated to you without checking in on it. Oops, I did it again. Okay. By the way, if you want to know what Hillary Clinton's real opinion back then was, she wrote a letter to the superdelegates, which I can quote at length, but I'll just give you one line from it. Even after she had lost on pledged delegates, she said, well, I won a lot of states and I won them, some of them big. She said, and with 40 and 35-point margins of victory, it is clear that even when voters are repeatedly told this race is over, they're not giving up on me, and I'm not giving up on them either. So when Hillary Clinton was told that it was over, and in her case it was actually over, she said, no, I'm not giving up on them. It's not over, it's not over, it's not over. Now she tells the press, it's over already, print that it's over. And they're all like, yes, sir, absolutely, ma'am, here we go, it's over. Everybody, it's over. Don't vote in California or New Mexico or in any of those places. whatever you do, don't vote. It's already over. We've decided. Okay. And then now let's go to the Clinton campaign's possible role in this. I love this disingenuous tweet that Hillary Clinton sent out. She says, "Oh, we're flattered, the Associated Press, but we've got primaries to win. California, Montana, New Mexico, North Dakota, New Jersey, South Dakota. Vote tomorrow." Oh, us? Oh, you were doing a superdelegate count? Oh, we didn't know that. Oh, wow, that took us by surprise. Now, really? The Clinton campaign didn't know the Associated Press was doing a superdelegate count, and in that count, they were going to go over the top the day before the voting? Please, please don't call yourself a political reporter if you believe that. Of course, the Clinton campaign is vigilant. I give them credit for it. They know each superdelegate, which way they're voting, or if they're undecided. They have a list of that. Do you think they don't have a list of that? Now, if you said that about Trump, I'd believe you because the guy's a clown and he's an incompetent manager. No one is saying Hillary Clinton is an incompetent manager. She has a list of the superdelegates, and she knows the list that the Associated Press is working with. Now, the Clinton campaign, they weren't in cahoots with the Associated Press, or at least I don't know about that, and I would actually be, maybe I'm naive, but I would be surprised by that. But this is how it works. The Clinton campaign tells certain delegates, superdelegates that have not committed yet, hey, either do us a favor and commit the day before the California voting, or do us a favor and commit the day after the California voting. If she thought she was going to win California easily, she says, hold, some of my superdelegates that haven't committed yet, but I know are on my side. Don't tell the Associated Press or NBC that you're on my side yet, because I'd like to win California, or I'd like the voting to be done, right? Because I don't want it to seem like the superdelegates decided the election. I want it to seem like the voters decided the election. No, they decided, hey, those superdelegates that we've been pressuring for months and months and months, go now, go now. We might lose California. I don't want to win after getting embarrassed in California. Go now. Now, if you're at all savvy about politics, you understand that. If you're the Associated Press, you go, what? Oh, they're counting the delegates? Oh, the Clinton campaign might be talking to the superdelegates and telling them to announce this the day before massive elections. I don't know anything about that. No, either you don't know, and please retire or be fired immediately because you're incompetent at your job, or you do know and you don't give a damn. You're perfectly happy being complicit with the Clinton campaign in the political strategy they are unfolding because you want to be first. I have inside sources. I'm going to be first. I'm going to be such a good journalist. I have all these establishment sources who told me to print this stuff, and I printed it word for word. She's going to be historic. Aren't I a wonderful journalist? I believe that a lot of Americans believe you are not wonderful journalists. And what you did was you alienated millions of voters today, millions of Americans. Now, it's a double loss, both for the mainstream press, who lose credibility yet again, and also for the Clinton campaign. They can't help themselves. If you actually were savvy politically, and they think they're so savvy. Oh, I counted all the superdelegates. Oh, I did it the day before the California voting. Okay, no, this actual savvy move is to embrace those millions of voters who you need to win the general election. Instead, what did you do? You just spit in their eye. And you said, what are you going to do about it? Yeah, I won it with the superdelegates. Yeah, you're not going to get the count in California. Yes, the Democratic Party, which had pretended to be in favor of voting rights all this time, were outraged when the Republicans would disenfranchise voters, just disenfranchise millions of voters, and think, I'm so clever. No, you're not half as clever as you think you are. So celebrate your victory today, but one, it's not an actual victory. Those superdelegates have not voted. And yes, this is the one race where there are extraordinary circumstances that could make their vote not so unequivocal. And number two, you found a way to snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory. If you just let people vote, even if you lost California, you would still have plenty of pledged delegates. And you could comfortably say tonight or tomorrow, hey, I have all these pledged delegates. That is a lead over Bernie Sanders. And yes, I also have the superdelegates, meaning that at the convention, it is likely that I will have more delegates. And then you could bring pressure to bear on Bernie Sanders to at least suspend his campaign. But no, 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 no. You couldn't help yourself. You're used to using and abusing power. So right at the moment that it mattered, you did it again. And instead of gaining the loyalty and the respect of half of your party, you lost all of that with yet another cheap political trick. Congratulations, mainstream media and the Clinton campaign. Mission accomplished.